have no quarrel with you, Guardian Shard.
Surrender your ship and I'll spare your life.
Kid, never trust a pirate.
Mandalorian Episode 5 was a better episode than the last, but that's not saying much considering the cesspool of writing we've had this season. When you're too busy staring at all the pretty action, it's enough for you to forget the atrocious lack of organization of the plot. And it seems like only now that they start to put together somewhat of a decent story, near the end which basically becomes the Book of Bo-Katan. Master Galaxy Sparkly Eyes Guildmaster Queef gets intimidated by the space version of Oscar the Grouch. He tries to put on a brave face, but nothing will stand in the way of the space pirates, who then promptly lay waste to the town.
The protector Navarro is an independent world. You are no longer under the protection of Moff Gideon.
The Spinward Patrol passes through here regularly.
By the way, with all that big ball talk of the magistrate Sparkly Eye dude telling the one pirate to send the message that he's not to be messed with, I really thought that he had the ball sack to back it up. But now he's literally afraid, and this is what he had up his very heavy, royalty-bound sleeves? It makes no sense.
Tell Captain Guardian Shard that Navarro is no longer friendly to pirates. Get out of here, Vane. Now.
You want to let him go?
You'll let it be known that Navarro is respectable now, and not to be trifled with.
Because that's how gangs work. For somebody who was a leader of his own little gang, it seems very naive of him to say something like this. Or maybe he's just lacking brain cells. Seriously, if he knew he was this outmatched, why would he even send a threat like that? What did old man here think was going to happen? That this massive gang lord that has the weapons to back it up would shiver in his boots and run away? His tail tucked between his trashy legs? With someone that talks that much shit but can't back it up, he does not have the right to be the leader over Navarro. He costs a lot of these people their lives. We meet Captain Teva. Apparently we met before, but I honestly forgot about because, to be honest, he was not that relevant. Then, after he gets the message from Master Queef, we go from a practical effects, uncanny version of the trash Pokemon to this fully CGI'd face of what seems to be a one-off character. I actually like the CGI for this character. Look at him. He feels much more real, but oh my god, is it jarring as hell to go from watching what is essentially a Muppet, like Cosmic Oscar the Grouch, to something that looks like an actual real character. What happened with this one? Why didn't they make all of them look like this, or all of them practical? It's just very jarring for the tone for me, and I know it's a nitpick, but it's something that's so blatantly whiplashingly obvious to my overly observant eyes. Not gonna lie though, he's nice to look at. Captain Teva, Mr. Nice Man, goes to ask for help from Discount Gus Fring for help against these pesky pirates. But hot, handsome warrior woman interjects that Navarro deserves what they get because they choose to be an independent planet, which, I mean, I can't exactly blame her altogether. While I personally would go to help if a planet is saying that they don't want to be a part of what is essentially our country or society, and they don't want to live by our laws or have us interfere with anything that they're doing, then why are they crawling to me for help and not defending themselves if they're independent? From my understanding, everyone is protected under the collective of planets that fall under a certain society or jurisdiction. So anybody that doesn't want to be part of that is basically saying that they want to fend for themselves and they want the freedom to be their own entity. So then defend yourselves? I bet you this independent planet won't come running to any other planet's aid when they need it. Anyway, these pirate people are apparently like a gang, so they're very dangerous. The New Republic has a firepower, but oh well. You forgo that when you decide to be your own person. We as the audience already know that Handsome Warrior Woman is evil, which must mean that Moff Gideon is still alive in some capacity. I like when Captain Teva zeroes in on the beacon to find the Mandalorian outpost. The only ship that we see is Bo-Katan's, because apparently she's the only Mandalorian that matters the most. We're just gonna underhandedly shove Din Djarin off to the side so everything can be about her now, right? Maybe I missed something, but I'm pretty sure this is not a coincidence. Even in the close-up shot, every other shot, you see only her ship. So unless Din Djarin's ship is camouflaging, they're specifically focusing on her ship for a reason. Even when they're trying to focus on the captain of his ship, they still have to show her shit in the shot. I know it's a pretty ship, but Jesus. And we know that the Mando is there because he specifically comes out to talk to Captain Teva, who had given him a pass some time ago, and we're supposed to remember that. He happened to find the Mandalorians also because of the robot that Mando brought with him that just so happens to be longtime friends with his captain. And that's why the robot just gave away their covert location. And the robot's not there anymore. Where'd he go? He was literally there a second ago, but then they cut away very shortly after the robot's gone. Well, the robot that's now conveniently invisible, or maybe it is such because they are so cheap this season. They forgot to re-add the robot later. It is its own entity as well. So it would have known by now how secretive the Mandalorians are, and it would have the understanding. It can communicate with people, it can form its own thoughts and decide that it's afraid and not to do things. But it's either too stupid to pull that into account that the Mandalorians want to be secretive and don't want their location given away, or it just doesn't give a damn about them. And I can't really blame it. It's also partially Mando's fault because he already knows how these robots operate, so he never thought that having the robot there would cause him to be discoverable. Considering the Mandalorians' tendency to be highly secretive, why do they even all appear to be unaware of this? It's not like it's Mando's robot. He got it from the mechanic person. Other people probably use this robot. It's just weird. Wouldn't that be something that we're all hyper concerned about and call into question? It just seems heavily convenient for this guy to find them that way. Every time I start to have a little bit of hope, they do something else that makes the Mandalorians look so stupid that it makes me want to rip their helmets off their head and give them a good smashing to jumpstart their brains. Maybe they've been wearing those helmets a little bit too long. Din Djarin claims that they don't have ships, so I guess they can't defend Navarro. Wait, how did they... That is a question I asked before, too. Why don't they have ships? He has ships. How do they not have ships? Where did these ships go? They had to initially have ships at some point to get here, right? Unless they were all born there. But my understanding is they had to flee from their planet, a lot of them. So, did they take a bus here? And if they took some other form of transportation, it means that whoever transported them here knows their location, which directly goes against it being secret. I don't know. They also move around a lot. They say they're gonna have to relocate, so how are they doing that? Anyway, Din Djarin is willing to help because High Magistrate Queef is his friend.
I know you'll relocate anyway, but you have my word. I will not reveal your location.
Yeah, okay. We're supposed to believe that. You won't, but the robot clearly will. So by that logic, they have to relocate and give away the robot or return it before they do.
So what are you thinking?
He's right. I gotta help the guy.
You can't do it alone.
Shut up, bitch. Shut the fuck up.
Of course, Bo-Katan is going to help him because we're slowly transitioning this into being her show, so she must be there. And of course, the big bad muscle man, or should I say the big bad muscle Mandalorian.
Oh dear God.
After Din Djarin's weak speech, rallies everyone together to fight because Din Djarin saved his son. That's the highest honor that a Mandalorian could do, which is what the leader weaponsmith woman said. Why were they all not jumping at the chance to repay him? I don't know. Here's naive me thinking that they were soldiers. Maybe I'm wrong. Also, where are the 3 baby bird things? Because they made a big deal about bringing them home, and I was sure that we were going to see at least someone feeding them or training them in the background or something. I guess they're not important to the plot here, so... I mean, I would say something along the lines of I expect to see them later, but I don't want to get my hopes up because it's giving too much credit to the writing of the show at this point.
And they cooked them, and they ate them.
Also, maybe it's just me. Oh, there's the Naboo starfighter thing. But I don't remember Bo-Katan's ship being this large. Maybe it was always this large, but look at how it towers over freaking Din Djarin's ship. What? Was it always this big? That's what she said.
Please stop.
I'm sorry. I had to go back and look because in season 3, episode 3, we see Bo-Katan's ship, right? And her ship is a little bit bigger than his, but like in this scene right here, maybe it's just the editing, we can see where Mando's ship on the right that's approaching her when they're trying to flee the planet, that's Bo-Katan's ship on the left, right? This ship right here for people with low res screens, that's Bo-Katan's ship. The Naboo starfighter, that is Mando's ship. This is the best shot we're gonna have that I can remember off the top of my head where we can see them side by side for a size comparison. And as you see, he is past... First of all, wait a minute. The editing is weird because he literally phases through her ship. Like, they should have crashed. His ship, the left wing on his ship literally goes through the wing of her ship. Wow. Anyway, you can see when it passes, forget it being a freaking ghost and having the ability to completely go through solid objects, but he is right next to her. Look at the size. Right next to, okay, you could say this is the front. Right next to her, the ship is almost the same size. Maybe a little bit smaller. So how, in the Eternal Godzilla, busting through the monsterverse, is her ship now this freaking big? Does it have the ability to transform and engorge itself like a phallus? If it had that ability, I had no idea it did. Look at how small they are compared to the ship. Mind you, it's not even directly in the foreground. The Naboo starfighter, or this little Mando's little bitch-ass ship now, is so much tinier than hers. But it's still in the foreground, and you can see that her ship can't even fit in the frame. Also because the way it's standing, but you could also see the width of it, its wingspan. Look at how small she is in comparison. Now, to be fair, the fan art does show it being quite large, but it is never a consistent size, and the dead giveaway of that is in the dogfight that we saw in episode 3. Where those enemy starships that they were fighting were all one size. And next to Mando's ship, they're basically the same size. And next to Bo-Katan's ship, they're only a bit smaller. In this shot right here, the size discrepancy is just outstanding. Anyway, I observed another subtle detail that is a carryover from what I learned in film school. Notice, in the scene where Mando, the supposed lead character, is attempting to gain support from the other Mandalorians, the camera either is directly over him to make him look as small as possible, or maintains a level position with his body or directly over him, even a slight bit, which indicates a neutral and non-threatening posture. There are a lot of scenes like this where they've already done the establishing shot, but they do it several times. And that's by design. With the big boy Mandalorian, they do more shots to purposely make him look bigger. His close-up shots tend to look like this because he's coming from a place of power and intimidation. They want his character to look intimidating. Fair enough, because he's the big bad boy. But also notice the shots with Bo-Katan, as you can see on the left, when often focused on her, the camera is positioned below her, creating the impression that she looms over the viewer. This angle conveys an air of superiority, power, and intimidation. It is a technique that's often employed to make individuals or characters appear much larger than they actually are, and consequently in a more dominant position. They don't hide this for the very fact that they show this very shot right after having her walk on screen with her ship in this angle as well, always because it is a large ship. It's intimidating. I'm pretty sure that's by design as well. Notice the camera is sitting lower. She is towering over us. We have to look up at her out of respect to show how powerful she is. Even though the Naboo starfighter is in the foreground, it is clearly not the focus. I know a lot of you probably haven't gone to film school, so you probably don't recognize this right off the bat, but it just came back to me, and it is so glaringly obvious. Look at what the camera does when she mentions Din Djarin, aka Mando, aka the person who this is supposed to be about.
You will operate as a tight military unit. Din Djarin and myself will reinforce.
Where is Din Djarin, guys? Where is he? We have heard an air of superiority. She's looming over the camera. She's leading everyone now. Din Djarin is out of focus behind everyone. And then look at how he just comes into focus.
From above. If everyone acts.
And then back. From a shot of him being behind everyone, away from everyone, yes, you could say, oh, he's by his ship, but they shot it this way on purpose. They're trying to make his character smaller. Look how much smaller he looks in comparison to the Mandos in the foreground. I know that they're closer, but in film, trust me, they do this for a reason. They are steadily pushing him back so that the focus can be on Bo-Katan, Tan, however you want to pronounce her name. Right after looking at him, focus on him in a very short space of time to show, remember, Mando's still a part of this, don't get mad. They shoot back to her, but again, from the angle of the camera, looking up at her to show her in a domineering position right after showing us Mando in a submissive position.
Acts as they should. We can
see what I mean? Directly after that, we see Din Djarin's ship in front of her, and they make a show of making his ship come first, so that when we see her ship afterwards, that's the last thing in her mind, how much bigger and hefty and powerful this ship is. Even though, again, when they're side by side, his ship doesn't look that much smaller anyway. I know I'm concentrating on this. It's just something that's very annoying to me. I hate when they do this with characters. When they make us like a character and they tell you the story's going to be about the character and they completely sideline the main character for the purpose of choosing another character to take over the show for whatever reason. Ugh. Anyway, she carries all the Mandalorians and they carry out a plan when they reach there. Pirates are just doing what pirates do and being destructive. I am surprised, though, to see that it looks as though zero time has passed on Navarro with sparkle deep dish eyes and his fellow fugitives. You can say, oh, it's the writers. What writers? Because they've clearly gone.
Focus, focus, focus.
Oh, but then I'm worried that the Mandalorians will suck at fighting because it's clear they suck at fighting, but it's okay. Be calm. Flashy action. Wet your eyes, my dear. Anyway, they went against a seaweed Space Sesame Street pirate because, of course they do. He does the most illogical thing and whatever. Oh, that's great. Yay, they're all saved. Then the most annoying thing happens. Remember I said that every time I start to have hopes, they're dashed? Well, Bo-Katan is summoned by the blacksmith, Mandalorian armorer woman, and I shit you not, she tells her this.
Remove your helmet.
The intervals between breaths get increasingly longer.
Remove your helmet.
Okay. I'm fine.
No, but are you? Because just a reminder that you're dead, I'm fucked.
I said I'm fine. Okay. Just the cold air. All of a sudden.
Then even after Bo-Katan asks her what's up with this new development, all the blacksmith lady tells her is that she's walked both worlds.
Our people have strayed from the way, and it is not enough for a few to walk it. We must walk it together.
This is the way.
We must walk the way together. All Mandalorians.
I understand.
You did, did you?
She claims that Bo-Katan can unite all the Mandalorians because she's seen the mythosaur. Not even the blacksmith woman initially believed Bo-Katan actually saw it, but now she believes her all of a sudden. After spending her whole life of being a zealot to this creed and condemning all others, including Mando, she just lets Bo-Katan off and tells her that she'll bring everyone together and essentially lead them, and that it's okay. Now all of a sudden our creed that we've stuck to, like iron, our whole purpose has been built around that very creed. Now we're just gonna, it's okay, we'll all walk it together. They're just gonna throw all that away. No transition into it whatsoever. Side note, I know it has nothing to do with the show, but for some reason, my Shiba Inu did not like this woman talking. She was staring at the TV and cocking her head the whole time. Maybe it's the muffled noise of the person speaking that just drives her insane. I don't know what that was about. Anyone else's dog do that? Anyway.
You saw it. It is a sign that the next age is upon us. Mandalore must all come together.
I'm sorry, but then what was the ever-loving point of making the show of Din Djarin having to win back redemption to be a Mandalorian? Did she forget he also removed his helmet? Did she also forget that he was also in the same place? So if Din Djarin didn't see it, why would you believe that Bo-Katan saw it? Din Djarin also removed his helmet. So she's talking about walking both worlds, being a Mandalorian who wears a helmet and one doesn't, or is not considered one because they don't. He technically achieved that too, because for a while he had not been considered a Mandalorian, as was Bo-Katan. But let's just say it's because Bo-Katan spent a longer time living that way. How would this blacksmith lady have any respect for her when she previously had no respect at all for anyone who did not wear the helmet? By the logic, why would you even want to unite the other Mandalorians who don't follow your creed to the T? Wouldn't that directly affect the faith of your sect when they see that you accept those that don't wear the helmet? Those that you don't even consider Mandalorians in the first place. So if you say all Mandalorians must come together, but your creed states that people who don't wear the helmet are not Mandalorians, then how do you even consider them Mandalorians to want them to unite with you in the first place, unless you've always considered them Mandalorians despite the fact that they don't wear the helmet? You see where it starts to kind of fall apart and does not make sense? At that point, the young ones would probably start to wonder, what is the point of them wearing their helmet if these other people are still considered Mandalorians without it? The whole thing is so stupid and contrived, based off of one person who claimed that she saw a mythosaur that you didn't even believe saw one in the first place. And you're just specifically going off her word, the word of someone who you don't consider a Mandalorian.
You have walked both worlds. You are the one who can unite us.
Our main character, Mando, the one we've been following, is unceremoniously cast aside with none of his missions having mattered, including the Darksaber, just so Bo-Katan can just be gifted the leadership to bring on. I'm not laughing because it's actually funny. It's just me. Okay, it's kind of funny. I'm guessing it's because she saved the youngling, but no other Mandalorian in the history of the Mandos ever did that, but he also saved the child as well. Also, big surprise, we find out via the POV of the kind Captain Teva that Moff Gideon was broken out of his transport and never made it to trial.
Oh.
Well, there is Beskar armor, which is the only clue that is left behind.
It's a fragment of Beskar alloy.
Are you saying that Moff Gideon was taken by Mandalorians?
So weird to believe that a Mandalorian did this. The first thing I'm asking is, why is there a piece of Beskar alloy there? Did it chip off of somebody's armor or weapon? And if that's the case, I guess Beskar armor is not as strong as I thought it was, or is it? I think I'm missing something here. Is ChatGPT writing this? Well, I know it's not, because it would have done a way better job in terms of coherence. Don't believe me? I'll give you a little present right here, right now. Here is a short story I asked ChatGPT to write based on this prompt. Hi told it, write me a short story about a Mandalorian soldier who goes on to redeeming himself and becoming the leader of his people after being cast out by them. This is what it came up with exactly. I did not change one thing. Once a proud soldier of the Mandalorian army, Kyle found himself exiled from his people for a grave mistake he made during a critical battle. His decision to abandon his post and leave his comrades behind led to the loss of many lives, and his fellow soldiers and leaders could not forgive him. With a heavy heart and a deep sense of shame, Kyle wandered the galaxy alone, searching for redemption. He took any job he could find, from bounty hunting to guarding cargo ships, always trying to make amends for his past mistakes. Years went by, and Kyle found himself in the midst of a conflict that threatened the Mandalorian people. A rival faction had risen, led by a ruthless warlord who sought to conquer and enslave their planet. Kyle knew he had to act, even if it meant facing his old comrades again. With nothing to lose, Kyle rallied a small band of mercenaries and Mandalorian outcasts to fight against the warlord's forces. He used his tactical knowledge and combat skills to outmaneuver the enemy, and his bravery inspired his followers to fight alongside him. As the battle raged on, Kyle realized that he had finally found his true purpose. He was not just a soldier, but a leader, a commander, who can inspire and unite his people. With his guidance, the Mandalorian forces emerged victorious, and the warlord was defeated. Kyle had redeemed himself in the eyes of his people, and they welcomed him back as their leader. He had come full circle from a disgraced soldier to a hero and savior, and he knew that his journey had only just begun. See, ChatGPT wrote something that I want to watch, be it a short story outline, but still, lick my dewy eyelashes. I am actually more intrigued by something a damn AI wrote than what people are paid millions to. Grogu took a backseat in the episode, as he should, and Bo-Katan has now become a character that I have grown to resent, even though I initially liked her. And I don't even dislike her, and I love Katie Sackhoff, but I resent the character because of how they're writing her, or writing the whole development. They really should have named the show The Book of Bo-Katan. Good heavenly fat-ass dog child. Even the Book of Boba Fett did a better job with having the main character up front, even though they did sort of sideline him at times for his female character. Most of his story was about, okay, sorry, never mind. They did sideline him for basically 3 episodes to focus on Manda. Wow. Okay, never mind, scratch that. I'm not gonna lie, the action was fun to look at, but if they feel as though they have to make up the lack of a story by relying on fast-paced visuals, then it's clear that the show is on its way out. There's a certain melancholy I feel considering what has become of what was once my favorite shows despite the writing issues it had in the beginning. At least it held up better than this atrocity that we're getting now. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.